Good evening and welcome to your Tuesday, March 11, 2025 edition of the Evening News. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Guyana deports Venezuelans who illegally arrived on ESSEQUIBO coast. President Ali holds talks with newly appointed U.S. Secretary of Energy. Traffic Department moving to clamp down on delinquent e-bike users. 25-year-old man stabbed to death by stepfather at Karasabai. And AFC politician robbed of motorcycle by cutlass-wielding bandits. Now for the news in detail. A group of Venezuelan nationals who illegally arrived in Guyana on Monday at the Abramzul beach along the ESSEQUIBO coast in Region 2 have been deported, with the exception of those who have familial ties in the country. Minister of Home Affairs Robson Ben has since maintained that while the government of Guyana remains open to accepting migrants from the Spanish-speaking country, all individuals must enter the country legally, making it clear that unauthorized entry will not be tolerated. Here is Trishelle Sobers with our lead story tonight.
A boatload of Venezuelan migrants on Monday arrived in Guyana at the Abramzul beach along the ESSEQUIBO coast in Region 2, Pomeroon, Suriname, in a 45-foot by 8-foot boat powered by two 75 HP Yamaha outboard engines. The group comprised 75 individuals, including 9 children, 9 women, and 57 men. Following their interception by local law enforcement authorities, the migrants underwent a screening process. Those who could not establish family connections in Guyana were deported to Venezuela. In a brief telephone interview with the Evening News on Tuesday, Minister of Home Affairs Robson Ben stated that authorities ensured the migrants were provided with basic necessities, including food and shelter, before their deportation.
Mid-morning, they were to be returned across the border the same day. There was an inability to do it in sufficient time, and they were housed and fed overnight, and they departed at 4 a.m. this morning.
The illegal arrival of the migrants in the country comes as Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro planned to unlawfully hold elections for a governor of the Guyana's ESSEQUIBO region. Just a few days ago, Guyana approached the International Court of Justice (ICJ) seeking provisional measures to block Venezuela from proceeding with its planned elections in ESSEQUIBO, 2/3 of Guyana's national territory. Guyana is requesting that the court order Venezuela to refrain from any acts within or affecting its sovereign territory, including the ESSEQUIBO region. This is the second time Guyana has sought provisional measures from the court, which is currently hearing a case to settle the decade-long border controversy between Guyana and Venezuela. Back in December 2023, Guyana had approached the World Court after Venezuela's threat to seize and annex Guyana's ESSEQUIBO region. In response, the ICJ had ordered Venezuela to refrain from any action to disturb Guyana's administration and control of that territory pending the conclusion of the case. Meanwhile, Minister Ben has made it clear that Guyana remains open to providing humanitarian assistance to migrants seeking refuge in Guyana. However, those migrants must enter the country legally.
Come to Guyana, they have to go to the first immigration port of entry, to the immigration officer, be screened and get an ED card. If they don't do that and they're reaching all the way to Rica and those places, wherever, we will send them back. The only way, if we screen them and we look at it, is if we can see for certain that they are returning Guyanese.
Registration is made easy through the implementation of roaming immigration officers who traverse the areas usually populated by migrants and offer registration and extension of stay services remotely. This process is focused on regularization of these migrants, thus preventing or reducing their vulnerability of trafficking, sexual, and labor exploitation. In Guyana, all children of migrants, legal and illegal, from Venezuela and other countries are allowed full access to be enrolled in the public school system within the host communities and to benefit from government-funded support programs including the school feeding programs, school uniform vouchers, and the Because We Care cash grant given to all students. Meanwhile, the unlawful Venezuelan election for Guyana's Essequibo region is scheduled to take place on May 25, 2025. Trishelle Sobers, Evening News.
President Dr. Irfan Ali, who is scheduled to speak at the CERAWeek event in Houston, Texas, today held talks with newly appointed U.S. Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, on the sidelines of the event. Gerald Bryan reports that the discussions focused on advancing energy cooperation between Guyana and the U.S.
On Tuesday, President Dr. Irfan Ali met with newly appointed United States Secretary of Energy Chris Wright in Houston, Texas. The meeting took place on the sidelines of CERAWeek, an event hosted by energy analytics publication S&P Global, where industry experts are brought together to discuss issues facing the energy sector. Wright was appointed on a platform of expanding America's support of natural gas at a time when Guyana is itself pursuing its own gas-to-energy project. During the meeting with Wright, President Ali highlighted the existing bilateral partnership between the two countries to advance energy security. President Ali also used the opportunity to point out strategic opportunities in regional security, as well as the PPPC government's commitment to working with the U.S. Two U.S.-based companies, Linseca and CH4, are playing integral roles in the gas-to-energy project specifically. Together, the two companies formed a joint venture to build the 300-megawatt combined cycle power plant and a natural gas liquids NGL facility at Wales, West Bank Demerara. However, the two parties only recently agreed to go to full arbitration over financial claims and deadline extensions being sought by the contractor. Joe O'Brien, The Evening News.
In light of the continuous lawless behavior displayed by electric bike users on roadways across the country, the Traffic Department is moving to toughen its enforcement of law for this category of road users. Find out more in this Kelroy Williams report.
In May 2023, Guyana passed laws to regulate the use of electrical bikes on the country's roadways. Effective July 4th of that year, the Guyana Revenue Authority GRA began to register e-bikes. Among the requirements for registration, persons must be holder of a valid driver's license. However, many e-bike users are unlicensed and a significant number of the vehicles on the roadways remain unregistered. Traffic Chief Mahendra Singh explains that his officers had initially taken an approach of sensitization when they encountered e-bike users breaking the law. Now he says a tougher stance is needed.
But in this country, the only thing is that I always say the education is complemented by the enforcement. It's not to say the education is not working. The education reaches everyone. Is it that they are complying with using population? Where there isn't voluntary compliance, forced compliance is engaged via traffic enforcement. And that is the answer.
In recent times, members of the public have been raising concerns about the reckless use of e-bikes across the country, particularly when child endangerment occurs. Only recent in Berbice, a 9-month-old baby and her 19-year-old mother died in an accident involving an e-bike that was being operated by a 17-year-old.
It's irresponsibility all over when you look at it. There's an adult father, adult mother, and a young baby. And three of them on the same bike. Then what happens next? Caution thrown to the wind, safety thrown to the wind. 2 lives are lost when an accident could have been prevented.
The traffic chief explains that his ranks works assiduously to uphold and enforce the rules of the road. However, he emphasized that there must be individual responsibility.
Our numbers, when equated to motorists on the road of all classes, we're like a drop in the ocean, and the entire ocean surrounds us. So here goes. While our numbers would be small, the enforcement would be targeted, more or less minimized to areas where it is prevalent. So coming from that angle now, that forced compliance will bring about voluntary compliance in areas where we have not hit as yet or are not so prevalent in terms of our patrols and presence. My encouragement to the member of the public, the road using public, is to always exercise the 5 C's or practice the 5 C's of defensive driving. Those who are driving 4 wheels or 2 wheels give priority and preference to those who are on their foot, pedestrians, pedal cyclists, the elderly or disabled, and to always be alert or self-aware of your surroundings. It helps to prevent an accident which could have occurred or there is a likelihood of occurring. And giving way does not necessarily mean that you are defeated. The public is encouraged to ensure that one thing happens. Positive pressure is applied. That is positive peer pressure to bring about a desired change out there with which the road is used.
Kelroy Williams, The Evening News.
The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development has established help desks for the 19 neighborhood democratic councils and 3 municipalities in Region 6 as part of a wider initiative to improve the delivery of government services to citizens countrywide. Our Burmese correspondent Andrew Carmichael has the details.
The Help Desk initiative, a brainchild of President Dr. Irfan Ali, is being implemented countrywide to ensure citizens have improved access to government services. Help Desk staff members will be responsible for providing support and guidance to citizens seeking assistance at their respective locations. On Monday, Minister of Local Government, Sonia Parag, met with the newly appointed employees to man the Help Desk across Region 6, that's East Berbice Quarantine. The meeting took place at the Regional Democratic Council's boardroom in Bryman's Irving, New Amsterdam.
I'm not saying that you have to know everything. You should. Of your own, you should. But the major and main services that are being offered, and you need to know where these services are being offered. So don't tell somebody to go to Ministry of Labor when they got to go to Ministry of Human Services.
Parag urged the Help Desk staff to equip themselves with the necessary knowledge to effectively assist the public. She also emphasized the importance of maintaining professionalism, discipline, and patience when dealing with members of the public. Meanwhile, one of the new appointees, who was from the Hochstein Lancaster area, said she turned up at the NDC on Monday and was turned away by the overseer.
Myself and colleague here are from Hochstein Lancaster, and we reported for duty today, as was instructed. However, we were met with hostility by the overseer there. One, she told us that, and even the chairwoman came and she told us that they don't have any space for us there.
Well, that's very odd given that they put out a tenant to build and construct an NDC for the hotel.
No, it's being built right now.
Yes, I know it's being built right now.
And what she said to us as well is that she's not aware of this. And she said she called the regional chairman as well as the REO, and all they said is that they want to look into it. So what she told us, because myself and my colleague, we went there with much smile, ready to serve our community. However, with this hostility, we were avoiding it. I told her we're going to come again tomorrow, but she said not come again because this is not a government building.
Currently, the Hochstein Lancaster NDC building is under construction and the office is being housed at another facility.
I will have my NDC unit at the ministry also contact them. You're putting people there now to help them to get that information, give them that extra assistance that you're still getting a gossip. So, but that for me, all that means is that some people don't want progress. They don't want development. They will only stick to one rhetoric, and that doesn't work well with me. I have found resistance as a minister in a lot of... I was shut out of a building in Belgium as a minister. I was shut out of a building, and as a resident from Belgium asked me to go and visit the community center to see how we can upgrade it. But you had an MP who come and shut me out there because he believed that I shouldn't be a part of anything in the community. But I still went back the next day. I don't have time with that. Right? So the issue is that you stick for what you believe in. We will tackle it from government level.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
Coming up, local artist paints mural for British High Commission in Guyana, and a long road ahead for women's equality, says Chancellor of the Judiciary. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Did you know that Gassi's Jet A1 fuel is a type of aviation fuel specially formulated for turbine engines? Jet A1 fuel is safer to handle and transport than any other fuel types due to its high flash point and low volatility. It also boasts a high energy content, enhancing aircraft performance and efficiency. So whether traveling for business or pleasure, choose Guyana's Jet A1 fuel for a safe, reliable, and efficient flight.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Local artist Ransford Simon from Region 9 was commissioned by the British High Commission in Guyana to create a mural in celebration of the 76th anniversary of the Commonwealth of Nations, a voluntary association of 56 independent countries, many of which were formerly part of the British Empire. Michael Henry has this story.
Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports Charles Ramsden Jr., alongside British High Commissioner Jane Miller, unveiling the mural on Monday painted by Guyanese artist Ransford Simon in celebration of the 76th anniversary of the Commonwealth of Nations. During the ceremony, the British High Commissioner highlighted the strength of unity among the 56 nations in this year's celebration. The Commonwealth of Nations is a voluntary association of 56 independent countries, many of which were formerly part of the British Empire.
What interests me about the Commonwealth is the diversity, from very small countries to huge countries, from very wealthy to poorer countries, from large countries to small, from old to new countries. But what really brings them all together is that diversity is the strength of the Commonwealth. And it's a message that the King makes in his message just today. And he talks about the opportunity of the Commonwealth as an opportunity to listen and to learn from one another, as a source of support to one another, and a source of friendship amongst one another. And we do see the Commonwealth as a powerful source.
Meanwhile, Minister Ramsden Jr. delivered remarks at the event where he highlighted the strong relationship between Guyana and the United Kingdom.
We've been working very closely with the King's Foundation, and you will hear a lot more about trees and the environment as part of how our developmental our pathway is going to take its shape. While we want to rapidly advance the country so that the important developments help to change the quality of life for everyone, at the same time not compromising or forsaking the important ingredients that makes the quality of life important for everyone.
Local artist Ransford Simon from Region 9 had the pleasure of painting the mural, which is located at the British High Commission in Georgetown. According to Simon, he believes that this art can inspire Guyanese to uphold and protect the country's biodiversity.
Each element in this artwork, from the majestic jaguar and lush rainforest to the symbolic hourglass, reminds us of our responsibility to protect our environment for generations to come. This mural also highlights the strong ties between Guyana and the United Kingdom. Let it serve as a vivid reminder that when we stand together honoring our past and looking towards a brighter future, we can achieve great things and for our communities, our countries, and our sheer world.
Michael Henry, The Evening News.
Despite notable progress in women's representation in Guyana's judiciary, Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Yonet Cummings, has emphasized that true gender equality remains a distant goal. Speaking in observance of the International Day of Women Judges, she called for greater inclusion of women in leadership and decision-making roles, particularly in both public and private sectors. Trishel Sobers tells us more.
While women now make up more than 50% of Guyana's judiciary, a remarkable achievement, Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Yonet Cummings, has emphasized that representation alone does not equate to equality. The Chancellor, who was at the time addressing the inaugural memorial lecture in honor of Madam Justice Desiree Bernard on the topic Article 29, Women's Participation in Decision-Making, Have We Arrived?, stressed that leadership positions across both sectors should reflect a diverse and balanced representation of men and women.
Leadership positions in both public and private should have a wide cross-section of persons, both male and female, who must represent the interests of their constituents. They must represent the interests of the public, So it cannot be one-sided. It must be all-encompassing. For there to be gender equality and to bridge the gender divide, it is evident that a lot has to be done. Article 29, it would appear, is a brilliant start, a step in the right direction.
Justice Cummings pointed out that while Article 29 of Guyana's Constitution guarantees equal rights in both public and private spheres, additional legal protections are necessary to bridge the gender divide.
Are we there yet? Have we arrived? Are we complacent? Or are we saying the rights are there and we can just sit on our laurels and do not activate those rights? Should we have our lawmakers work towards having more laws that would allow women to enjoy greater freedoms? I would say that in my view, we're there, but there's still more to go. I'm looking at the private sphere, where in the area of domestic violence, in the area of family violence, in the area of sexual violence, despite forward-thinking legislation, the Sexual Offences Act, the Family Violence Act, and so many other pieces of legislation in the private sphere, there are still cases of domestic violence or family violence coming to the fore. What is reported is not half of the picture.
The acting chancellor of the judiciary explained that tackling this issue will call for immediate action, regional outreaches, the reform of legislative processes, and a commitment from all stakeholders. She further went on to note that the work of the late Justice Desiree Bernard and her counterparts must continue, particularly as it relates to ensuring that women are trailblazers in the legal fraternity. Trishelle Sobers, Evening News.
1 week after a car slammed into an electric bike and killed a 9-month-old baby and her mother, the family of the deceased is calling on the driver to surrender. In this Andrew Carmichael report, the family is also pleading with the public for help in locating the driver.
The fatal hit-and-run accident occurred on March 2nd at Line Path Quarantine and resulted in the death of 19-year-old Kavita Bedsan and her 9-month-old baby, Ellie Surich-Narayan. The baby's father, 17-year-old Tushan Surich-Narayan, was also injured in the accident involving a car and an electric bike that was being driven by Tushan with his wife and child as pillion riders. The driver of the motor car, identified as Avinash Naidu, fled the scene after the crash and up to news time remains in hiding. The now dead teen's mother, Sangeeta Lal, is calling on all to help to locate the driver.
I want the driver arrested. I need justice because this is not like my baby is, this baby is so little, 9 months. And the girl is so young, they don't have a life or nothing else. And they wrong what them doing, like drink, drive and get when then get off in so quick. Whenever they get catch to them, get off in just an year or 2 years, then free back on the road. And them don't have nothing to study. Who lost? Who can ever give me back this? Nobody.
Meanwhile, the baby's grandmother is claiming that the police is not providing any information to the family.
No, we was coming out for the vehicle pick, we forgot to. Them call, well, the papa said that they hear the baby dead early, but I'm frightened to tell me that them had the news early, and I'm frightened to tell me that the baby dead. So as I was going out road, that was like 8, then them call, Monday, then call my sister after. Somebody called she and tell them that the baby dead, and then she called my husband and tell him say how the baby passed away. Why is the way going to Georgetown? So the baby didn't make it to reach the hospital. And when me see the girl this Sunday, the girl really bad when she had the accident. She just left her chip off. This whole piece passed apart, the foot broke, like really, really. And when we go Monday, that when I see she downstairs from the live machine and like everything. You'd never get a chance to she move or do anything. She just broke up so much when you find out from the doctor how much part from she broke. She hip broke, she foot broke, hey, so she get enough now. Like really, really. Me no know she can make it, but like you say, you gotta pray and try if she can make it. But that what I hear from the doctor so far. And the day before the doctor dead, but the doctor tell me that in the night she going to do the surgery for she. But she didn't get enough blood, so all the time she was taking blood. And since Kelly, and when she transferred to New Amsterdam, she was taking blood all the time.
The woman said she and her daughter lived like sisters and communicated daily. The baby also spent weekends with her. While she acknowledged that nothing can bring back her daughter and granddaughter, the woman is pleading with the public to help her family get justice. Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
A 25-year-old man was on Monday evening stabbed to death by his stepfather at Karasabai village, South Pacaramas in Region 9. Dead is Jonah Pedro, a laborer from Brazil with Guyanese parentage. Police said on the day in question, Pedro, along with family members, including his mother and stepfather, went to a nearby shop where they imbibed in alcoholic beverages. Later that day, the group then went to a relative's house at Karasabai, where they were immersed in conversation. During their conversation, the stepfather began to talk about his brother, who was allegedly murdered in Rukumuta village. Police said the suspect became very aggressive and started to curse and make threats to murder the person who killed his brother. He was then rebuked by his stepson, who advised him to calm down. Police further related that the stepfather got annoyed and, in the presence of the victim's mother and other relatives, he allegedly pulled out a knife from his haversack and stabbed his stepson to the head, right armpit, and right shoulder. The victim's mother then raised an alarm. The mother, along with another relative, tried to disarm the suspects, but their efforts were futile. The man then reportedly stabbed himself in the chest. The victim and suspect were both taken to Karasabai District Hospital, where the victim succumbed to his injuries, while the suspect was transferred to Letam Regional Hospital, where he is presently hospitalized under police guard. His condition is regarded as serious. Investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, executive member of the Alliance for Change, Onyx Duncan, was last evening robbed of his motorcycle by two cutlass-wielding bandits along the University of Guyana Access Road, Turkine, Greater Georgetown. The 28-year-old politician said at around 23 hours 30, he was riding his bike when in the vicinity of the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory, he was confronted by the two suspects on a black motorcycle who rode up from behind him. Reports are that as the suspects approached him, the pillion rider attempted to pull out his motorcycle keys. The politician said he attempted to fight them off, but the pillion rider dealt him a lash on his back with the cutlass, which caused him to fall to the ground. The pillion rider then relieved him of the motorcycle and both suspects rode off. Efforts so far to locate the suspects and the motorcycle have been without success. Several persons in the area were questioned as investigations continue. We now tell you that a man has since confessed to the murder of 40-year-old Umar Jumai, a fisherman of Grant Crabwood Creek Currentine in Berbice. The suspect is Nigel Garnett, also known as Nancy, who confessed to stabbing the victim once to the abdomen, according to a police statement released to the media. Jumai's body was on Monday morning found on the parapet within his home village. Shortly after, the suspect was arrested by police within the region. And now for a look at the bridge reports.
Fidamar Harbor Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Wednesday, March 12, 2025 at 4 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Barbiswara Bridge is scheduled to be closed to vehicular traffic at 15 hours 20 on Wednesday, March 12, 2025, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
And now for a look at the local stock exchange market compliments of Gassi. National Under-21 Club Tournament bowls off later this month, and Imlak optimistic ahead of Volcanoes battle this week. These stories coming up in this evening's Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp.
Hi, I'm Timothy Ramjan, and this is MacCorp Rental. We have the right equipment and generator for your coming project. Call me on 698-8116. Mapor, let's do the work.
Factory and dockyard owners, Sylvie's now has in stock the 5000 PSI North Star Heavy Duty Pressure Washer. It delivers industrial strength cleaning power and durability, blasting through the toughest caked on mud, dirt and debris. Great for prepping concrete surfaces, stripping paint and removing barnacles. Shop now at sylviesonline.com or visit our 31 High and Hatfield Street store. We also deliver. Call or WhatsApp 623-7755 for more info.